Welcome, folks, to the Ken Matias Sports Podcast, Ep.14, and a second-time guest. I got Peter DiBiasi. I hope I said that right. Never want to botch the name. Am I close?
Yeah, you're close. DiBiase. You're almost there.
DiBiasi. I apologize.
No, no worries.
Of NBC, and he also has his own podcast that he co-hosts with another gentleman, Talking Sports Pod. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm happy to see you're still cranking these podcasts out. You said episode 14, right?
Yeah, it's not a lot, but it's a little
No,
low budget. What do you
no,
want?
no. You're consistent, right? And this consistency is key. And look, at the end of the day, we're having fun. We're talking football. You can't beat that. No, but I appreciate you having me back on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on. Short notice, but I appreciate it. Reaching out and you got back to me, so thank you.
No, I love look, I love talking about the Bills. I love talking about the AFC. I love talking about football. So when I can go away from my day job and actually talk about the sports, that's kind of what I enjoy.
Yeah, let's just dive right in. Like before we got on air, obviously I mentioned the Bills. What's been going on at training camp? What have you kept a close eye on with Josh Allen and the crew?
Yeah, so the Bills had their actually today's Thursday. I don't know when everyone's seeing this, but today's Thursday, August 8th.
August
So
8th.
yeah,
Start of the
so
preseason.
yeah, so today was the last day of Bills training camp. So they had their first official preseason game on Saturday against the Bears. Josh Allen's supposed to play one quarter.
I did see that.
According to Sean McDermott, I'm assuming it's going to be 1 to 2 series, right? I don't think it's going to be that much, and I think it's going to be very, excuse me, limited play calling. I don't think he's going to have any
Unleash
design
the
run.
offense. Yeah.
Yeah, no designed runs, no scrambling, throw the ball away, all that kind of fun stuff. But no, the Bills so far through training camp have been pretty good with injuries, right? Like I always think that's like the number one thing when you want to come out of training camp is like how the injuries, right? More than how people are playing almost at sometimes, especially if you know you have talented players, you're trying to avoid injuries. And outside of the safety position, the Bills got a little bit banged up at the safety position. Cole Bishop, the rookie out of Utah, who was their second round pick, and Mike Edwards, who they brought from the Chiefs, were battling for that second safety spot next to Taylor Rapp. They are both sidelined for the next couple weeks. I think Mike Edwards will be back in about a week or two. Cole Bishop's probably targeting more of like a week one return. So right now it's Taylor Rapp, who's entrenched to be the starter and was the starter last year, and then DeMar Hamlin as the other safety. I expect week one probably to be Taylor Rapp and Mike Edwards, and then Cole Bishop probably coming in maybe week one or week two. So nothing crazy serious. They're just like a week to week kind of basis for them for safeties, and that's about it, right? Like Matt Milano's slowly working back from that leg injury. We saw him suffer against the Jaguars in London. So he's looking much better. And the biggest thing is, well, Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis are no longer the Buffalo members of the Bills. So how do the new receiving core kind of look for the Bills and everything that's come out of training camp in the sense of Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, and Curtis Samuel, the three main weapons as receivers. They all have looked good. Keon Coleman is just a highlight reel, one after one, and he's still working through things, but you can see he has that playmaking ability. Curtis Samuel, Joe Brady said, our OC, that they expect to use him at running back and receiver, so kind of like that gadget slot guy. And then Khalil Shakir, something that I want to note that maybe not everyone knows. Khalil Shakir, the last 2 years in training camp, has struggled with just being consistent, separating, all that kind of stuff. This is the first year in training camp where he has not struggled and where he's starting to come into his own. And we saw that in the second half of the year last year, where he became a legit number one receiver for this offense. And I think he's starting to get a stride heading into his third year. And then finally for Dalton Kincaid, right? Like I think he was top 10 in he had top 10 in a couple tight end stats last year as a rookie. And Sam Laporta gets the love. Kincaid's right behind him. And I think Kincaid's probably projecting to be the Bills' number one target this year, similar to a Kansas City Chiefs model or similar to a Green Bay Packers model, in my opinion. But that's the rundown. I know that was a lot, but that's kind of what I've heard and what I've read and what I've talked to people about so far at camp.
Wow, that was awesome. I mean, you should sign up to be the Bills reporter tomorrow.
Yeah, that if they offered me, I would walk to Buffalo if for that job. So yeah, one day, one day.
Side topic, get on off track for 1 minute. How far is Buffalo from you where you live?
I'm about 5.5, 6 hours from
Oh, all right. So it's a
Buffalo.
little
So
bit of a drive.
yeah. I've been to a couple games. I went to one game last year against the Patriots in Buffalo, actually, towards the end of the year, towards Christmas time, New Year. Oh no, the day before New Year's Eve or New Year's Day.
That
I
wasn't the
think
same game. You guys ran two punts. Oh, that was last season. Was that last season or 2 seasons ago?
that was the year before. So yeah, I
Oh
know
my God, that was hell watching that.
they're both in
Sorry,
Buffalo.
but
Yeah.
yes, that
So
was that hurt. But
yeah. So I've been to a couple games in Buffalo. I'm trying to scheduling. I think October 20th, the Bills play the Titans in Buffalo, and I'm not working that weekend. So that seems like the day I'm probably going up to the Bills game. I try to go to one a year. So a little bit of a drive. It's not the end of the world, but it's not like a 2 hour drive.
yeah, I thought it was a little closer. But staying on course, going back to the Bills. Yeah, you hit a lot of great points there, and I want to mention one person you missed out on was, is it
Mhm.
Dawson Knox, the tight end?
Yeah.
How's he look? Is he going to be part of this offense, or like you said, Kincaid's going to be the number one option there at tight end?
Yeah, look, I think Kincaid's going to be the number one option at tight end. He was most of the time last year, even as a rookie. I think they like Knox as that second tight end. They'll use a lot of 12 personnel, which is basically two tight ends on the field, right?
Hmm.
They'll use a lot of 12 personnel, and they like Knox as a little bit of a better blocker than Kincaid is. I would say Kincaid's the better receiver, and Knox is the better blocker. So which is kind of good, right? Like you don't want both of the guys not to be able to block, right? That's kind of an issue when you at the tight end position. But Knox is a good blocker. I think we'll see a lot of him. I think if I had to say he probably projects to be fifth in targets this year, maybe fifth in receptions around there. But look, he's a big body receiver. I think he's going to be used a lot in the red zone. I think Josh Allen has a great relationship with them. He's been there for a while. He's not new to this team, so there's a lot of experience. He's the most experienced receiver or receiver slash tight end on this roster at the moment with Josh Allen. So he's a go-to guy for Allen. I expect a lot of maybe more red zone looks than Knox, but look, I think he factors in. I don't think he's tight end one. I don't think he's going to lead the team in receptions or targets, but I think he does have a role for the on this year's team.
No, it's definitely like an unpredictable year in my opinion for you guys because no Diggs,
Mhm.
a lot of key guys left. Obviously, uh, is Micah Hyde still with you guys or no?
He is not. He's a
He's not,
free agent. I
he's a
think
free agent. Okay.
he's probably I would say Ken probably 80 to 85% towards retirement at this point. I think that's where he is. He had some
Yeah.
issues with his neck, and I think we all know like if you don't want to mess around with the neck.
No.
Like that's something you don't want to you want to have another 40, 50, 60 years of life when you don't have to worry about having a neck injury. So,
Yeah, no, that's true. And then obviously Jordan Poyer, that was another safety that stuck out to me that he signed with Miami over this offseason. I don't know, it was like a 2, 3 year deal, whatever it was.
mhm.
But obviously you guys are going through that transition. Could Coach McDermott be on the hot seat if you guys are like 500? I don't think you guys are going to be a 500 team because it's probably
Yeah.
going to be you guys and the Dolphins and the Jets, and us in the dumpster fire maybe. Hopefully not. I hope not because I'm always trying to be optimistic, but we'll get
Yeah.
to that in a second. But I think it's going to be you guys and the Dolphins, obviously. And what do you think about McDermott's future? Could Bill Belichick be on the radar for you guys in 2025 if things go bad or
Did you
sour?
did you see that graphic that I think it was Fox Sports One? I think they put out a Bill Belichick in a Bills gear, right?
Oh,
Like a
no,
sweatshirt.
no, I didn't see that. That's the
No.
first time I'm hearing about that.
So they did that saying like that could be something. Look, I don't
That's
think
crazy.
I think if the Bills go 500, right? I think Sean
I don't
McDermott's
know.
in the hot seat. But I think if the last couple years the Bills have fizzled out, last 4 years, the Bills have three divisional round losses and an AFC championship loss, right? That's the last 4 years playoff success for the Bills. A couple playoff wins, an AFC championship appearance, and three straight divisional round losses. That also includes four straight division titles, right? I think he's on the hot seat if they don't make the playoffs. And I think if they don't make the playoffs, he's on the hot seat. I think if they lose in the playoffs, again, his seat is, and it depends how they do and where they do in the playoffs. Like if they lose in the Super Bowl, no, right? If they lose in the AFC Championship, no. But I think if it's a weird fallout again or a weird end of the year, something doesn't click on special teams or defense at the end of a game in a playoff game, I think next year you and I can have this conversation and the seat's hot. But if he doesn't make the playoffs, seat's boiling hot because he probably might lose his job. But I don't see this team not making the playoffs. I would be shocked if this team wins less than 10 games. Like I think that's their floor.
I mean, yeah, when's the, or I should say, when's the last season that they won less than 10 games? You got to date back to probably prior to Josh Allen or his like first or second year, if that, you
Yeah.
know?
His yeah,
Because
his
he,
first year. Because his second year we won double-digit games and lost in the wild card round to Houston. So his rookie year, we went 6-10.
And
So
it
that
was
was
what, 2017 was his rookie year, I think.
2018, I
18. I
believe.
was off by a year. I think you're right.
Yes. So I think that was the last time they won less than 10 games. So yeah, I would be shocked if they lost, if they won less than 10 games this year.
Yeah, I think the 2017 season, staying on that topic for a minute, I think Tyrod Taylor was the QB at under center, and you guys might have lost to the Jags.
Yep, 9-7. That was yeah, we lost in the playoffs 9-7 to the Jags.
And that might have been the same year we played the Jags and won and to the AFC Championship, I
Uh,
think.
yeah,
It could have been. And we
because
lost to
the
the Eagles, I
yep,
think. Yeah. Oh,
I think
God.
you're exactly right.
Oh, jeez. But anyways, no, staying on, on course with the Bills. Yeah, I'm just curious what's gonna happen with that new offense. Obviously, Joe Brady was there, what, the second half or a few games last year after you
Second
guys
half, yeah.
let Ken Dorsey go, and he actually got a job with the Browns. Now he's the Browns OC
Hmm.
after we got Van Pelt now for New England. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's gonna be Miami, the Jets, and you guys, I feel like. I know it's probably just in the dumpster, unfortunately. Hopefully not, but just it's a young division. I mean, three out of the four teams have all young quarterbacks. You got Tua, you got Allen, future May at some point, and then you got the agent Aaron Rodgers at 40, 41. So it's going to be an interesting course there going forward. What were you
No,
going to say?
no, no. Yeah, the division is fun. I think it's exciting. But I still think the Bills are the favorite, right? I think
Prob to
Miami
win the division, probably.
Miami struggled to beat Buffalo, right? This isn't like me being just a Bills fan. They're Josh Allen's 10-2 against the Dolphins in his
That's
career.
impressive.
So like it's hard to like go past those stats. And like last year the Dolphins had the division one. They choked it at the end of the year, and then they had the last game in the regular season in Miami,
Of all
and they lost to
places.
the Bills in the last game of the year to lose the division, right? So until you slay the Bills, if you're Miami, I'm not going to pick Miami. The Jets are the biggest wild card in my opinion because there's so much unknown with Rodgers. There's so much unknown with the receiving core outside of Garrett Wilson. The O line still has a lot of new faces, and that takes time. And then obviously, I don't think Robert Saleh is a good coach. I think he's probably a bottom five head coach
Yeah.
outside of like the first year head coaches because we have no idea. I would say out of the coaches that have coached at least 1 year, he's a bottom five coach. So I think the Jets are probably like an 8-9 win team. I think the Dolphins are probably a 9-10 win team. And then I think the Bills are probably 11-12 win team. It's not like a huge gap. And then you have the Patriots, but you and I talked about this the first time I was on, and I still think this is a rebuilding year for the Patriots.
It
And I
is.
think it's just, and I think at the end of the year, you want to know, like I said last time, if Drake May is the guy. You don't have to know he fully is the guy, but you want to be like, from his first snap to his last snap, he improved. And that I think that's all you can ever really ask for when you have a rookie quarterback with some unproven weapons, some veteran weapons that are not superstars, right? Like Demario Douglas is a cool player. Jalen Polk and obviously Javon Baker. But those guys are all unproven. Demario Douglas a little more proven.
Young,
Yes, young.
second and first year guys
Yeah.
that you bring that up.
Yeah.
So
So those guys are still they also have to have their learning curve of the NFL, right? And still figure out who they are in the NFL. And it's tough for a rookie quarterback, right? And obviously the Patriots tried to go get Brandon Aiyuk. And obviously it didn't fully work out for Aiyuk, and they offered him a deal, so they're in the market for a
Mhm.
legit receiver. I would probably be shocked if they have enough, like if they go get a number one receiver before the season starts. It's probably a next offseason. But look, I think the Patriots are gonna be fun, a little interesting, a little stressful. They have a defense that will keep them in games, but look, you got to have Drake May. He's going to make you some mistakes that you just don't want to make mistakes when you have a veteran quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. But for your sake, Ken, and for the future of the Patriots, you don't want to go to the veteran quarterback too many times because he'll win you maybe a couple more games, but two, you want Drake May to experience down 7 with 2 minutes left, go tie the game. Like you want him to have that experience because if he fails, it's okay. But then the next time and the next time and the next time it happens, you want him to learn from those mistakes and be able to succeed in those moments.
No, for sure. I mean, obviously, you don't want to throw them into a dumpster fire.
No,
It's like
100%.
it's like you and me starting a new job. It's like you got
Yeah.
to get eased in, you got to get trained up. Sometimes you
Mhm.
need qualifications. I get it, but obviously, we're comparing just you and I to an NFL player that's been playing football since he was what, a peewee, 7, 8 years old, 10 years old, and now
Hmm.
he's like 21, 22 in
Hmm.
comparison to Drake May. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, staying on the Patriots topic, and I'm glad you brought up, the Brandon Aiyuk. How come you guys didn't trade for him? I mean, the Steelers, the Browns, apparently we were in on him. I heard Mike Reese, he called into the local radio station yesterday, 98.5, and he was kind of ripping, the Felger and Maz crew a little bit of, what I put on Sports Center. Like, I want to make sure, like, hey, like, I don't just go out there and just kind of BS things. Like, it's legit reporting, yada, yada, yada. So they were kind of bickering back and forth. I heard
Mhm.
that on the way home. But yeah, how come like the Bills weren't even like talked about, or they haven't been one of the top teams mentioned for his services, looking for like that number one? Or you guys are going to rely on the rookie Keon Coleman from Florida State, I should say?
Yeah, I don't know if we're relying on Keon Coleman because I don't think he's going to be the number one guy. I think it's probably Shakir Samuel and Kincaid, but I kind of put the model of like what the Chiefs kind of do. I know Kelsey's Kelsey, but
Yeah.
like what the Packers do, right? Like it's three or four guys that are your top guys, kind of like what the Packers have, like Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Luke Musgrave, Christian
Christian
Watson.
Watson. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a legit number one guy, but they're all four good receivers. I think that's kind of what we're doing with the Bills. But to go back to your first question about Brandon Aiyuk, that's a fair question. And there's Bills fans that want Brandon Aiyuk, right? And I'm not against Brandon Aiyuk. The Bills would have to make the money work financially to get him under the cap for this year. So they would have to 14 he's making 14 million against the cap heading into this year. The Bills would have to find a way to make that work. They would have to move pieces around, move money around. So that's the first hurdle. And the second hurdle is he has to want to come to Buffalo. So I have no indication that he doesn't want to come or that he wants to come, right? The reason he's not a New England Patriot, Ken, and this might stink to hear, is because he didn't want to come to the Patriots.
Just tell me. No, that's what I heard. No, you're
Yes,
right. You're
because
absolutely
they
right.
offered him $32 million a year. He
That's
basically has
crazy. I
he
never thought I'd see that in my life from our home team, to
I
offer a guy 30, 32 million a year. Like,
yeah, he basically has a no trade clause without having a no trade clause because because he's a free agent after the season. If you're the Patriots and you like we're gonna trade for you, and he's like, well, I'm not signing an extension, right? Like I'm not gonna sign with you after this year. You're not making that trade unless you really just want to go for it for 1 year, and the Patriots are obviously nowhere near that.
no,
So
this ain't the Brady years. Like five,
no,
6 years ago, he probably would have accepted that and said, I'm gonna play with Tom
well,
Brady. I got these key weapons. I got
yeah.
Gronk. I got this. I got that.
He's also going to a completely unproven situation with Drake May. If
Yeah,
this is 2 years down the road and Drake May is a proven legit NFL quarterback, not even have to be a superstar, but a legit NFL quarterback, he might be a Patriot. He probably is a Patriot, but because it's a rookie and because it's Jacoby Brissett who's throwing him the ball, probably doesn't want to go there. The money he thinks he can get anywhere. That's probably where he sits at 32 million. I think he probably fits more like 26, 27, 28 million a year where Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's kind of where their money is right now to Ken. And the 33, 34, 35 is the Jay Juttas, eventually CeeDee Lamb, and Jamar Chase. That's where they kind of sit or going to sit. And then Devontae Smith sits in the 26 to 27, Jalen Waddle. I think that's kind of where Ayuk fits. I think Pittsburgh seems like a destination that keeps being talked about. Don't love their quarterback situation, so I don't buy it from.
very uncertain talking
Yeah, I don't
about that.
love from Ayuk situation. I don't love it. Cleveland makes sense because I think Deshaun Watson. They're expecting big things out of Deshaun Watson. Cleveland makes sense, and no one else has been really floated out, right? Like again, it could be the Bills, right? But this also could be a team that we never hear. Like we've heard Browns, we've heard Steelers, and we heard Patriots. Could there be a fourth or a fifth or a sixth team in there that's kind of just not being talked about that much and that he goes to? So we'll see. I wouldn't count anybody out at the moment, but it's probably Pittsburgh and Cleveland, I would say at the moment, but we'll see. And obviously the Patriots gave it a run, and you can't fault them for giving it a run. So
I know, staying on that topic, it's like it's amazing. You threw so much money at this guy for a team that doesn't want to spend on guys and yada 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 in relation to the Patriots. And this dude still doesn't want to come here. It's like you're in a good situation in San Fran. Like you've been to I think he's been to one Super Bowl since he was drafted, but the team's been to think 2019 into 2020
mhm.
with Jimmy G, where they lost to the Chiefs the first time, and then 23 into 24, they lost to the Chiefs the second time. Like Shanahan's in a make or break year. Like he's been there, I think, 10 years, and he's got to like win a Super Bowl. Like he's had two chances and he's 0 and 2. Like something has to happen with that team that it's either gonna blow up or they're gonna win a Super Bowl and the city's gonna be happy as hell. So, I mean,
Yeah,
they haven't won in probably 30 years since I was born, to be honest with you, was the last time
yeah.
they won.
He wants to get paid, right? He's a free agent at the end of the year. He's making 14 million this year, which and he wants to get paid. He wants to get 32 million a year. He wants to be past Devontae Smith, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jalen Waddle, right?
But
He
it's
wants
always like that. I hate to cut you off, but it
no,
frustrates me. It's like
no, it's
me and you
yeah.
were top wide receivers in the league, and then all of a sudden it's like, well,
Well,
Peter wants to make the most money. Then Ken wants to. Dude, I'm kind of like over that whole money
yeah.
BS crap.
It gets
Play for
annoying.
the game and never mind the money. Like you're already millionaires as it is when you walk into the league.
Look, it gets frustrating,
It
obviously.
does.
He won't be the highest paid receiver. He won't pass eventually what CD Lamb will get. He won't
He
pass what
thinks that.
Yeah, he thinks that. I don't think he gets that. He won't pass what Lamb eventually will get. He won't pass what Chase will eventually will get, and he won't get what Jay Jettas currently has. But he wants to be ahead of Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, right?
But I
Like
don't
all that.
like he's good, but I don't think he's that he's good.
Yeah,
Yes.
but he's going to get that. That's the thing.
That's the thing. Those guys are like legit. And St. Brown, they kind of get talked about in Detroit there. They're like, oh, this guy's like, he's okay. I'm like, dude, he's a pretty good receiver with Goff
No,
throwing him the ball. But continue your point. Sorry.
no, St. Brown is tremendous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Ayuk thinks he's a one. I think he probably projects to be a number one receiver in the NFL, like a borderline one receiver. He'll get paid. He'll get traded. I think if the 49ers wanted to pay him, this wouldn't be even a conversation. The problem is the 49ers don't want to pay him.
Excuse me, not even give him like a short-term deal, nothing. It's just they're trying to make it work. GM John Lynch and Shanahan's trying to just please the player. I get it, but I'm kind of
Yeah,
sick of
because he's
these.
he's he's not going to take a short-term deal. He wants a long-term with security, right? And you can't really blame him in
Try
that
to make the
sense.
money as you can in his mid to late 20s. I think he just turned 26 or
Yeah,
whatever it is. So
he
I
wants
get it.
that
It's still
4 year
a
deal.
good,
He
yeah,
wants
it's
security because he'll know when he's 31, 32, he's probably pushing the end of his career. So he
yeah.
wants that security and wants 30, 32 million a year.
Because
So
receivers kind of phase out, what, 35, 36 out of the league? If you come in at 20,
yeah, that's
22,
probably the
23,
most. Yeah,
you
that's
get
probably
like
the
12,
highest.
13 years out of a receiver. Running backs probably even less than that, 8 to
Running
10,
backs,
12.
yeah, running backs is probably 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
Yeah, but I understand just make the money as you can, but you're already a millionaire, like I said, as you walk into the league, and it's like these guys just keep demanding money, money, and we spend money on them going to games. It's like, dude, we help pay your paychecks. Like, you ain't gonna
Hmm.
cry poverty tomorrow, and God forbid we lose our jobs. That could be an issue.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Then they either get released, signed by somebody, or traded, or
Hmm.
retire, and that's it. But uh, I know I think we still got time here, so I don't know. We're all over the place here. I don't know if you want to keep talking about the Bills. I know we get a little sidetracked, or we can go to talk about the preseason and what the first game could look like for the Bills. I guess going back, actually talking about the Bills. And I don't get hyped into preseason. I don't know if you do, but
I'll watch it. I'll try to watch it. I'll go
yeah,
back.
me too.
Look. But I think for the Bills, right? Like one, health. I always say for health, for every team, you want to come out healthy, avoid long-term injuries, avoid serious injuries. Josh Allen, one possession, two possessions max, right? I think that's what we see on Saturday. Probably won't
One
play
quarter
much.
seems a lot to start right away. Like
I
I
think,
understand maybe
I
half a
think,
quarter, play
yeah.
most of it.
I think Sean McDermott usually just says one quarter. Like I think he said one quarter last year and ended up being one possession, right? I think it's more of just like he'll give a broad statement and then we'll see how it goes on
Depends how the
Saturday.
game goes. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, no. I like to see maybe Ray Davis, how he plays, the rookie running back out of Kentucky. He projects to be the
Mhm.
backup to James Cook. Obviously, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, some new
Electric.
guys. Yeah, I want to see that. Uh, Dwayne Carter, the new defensive tackle for the at a third round pick. I like to see him. He probably projects to be the third or fourth D tackle on the Bills. How does DeMar Hamlin look? How does Taylor Rapp look? Right? No Mike Edwards, no Cole Bishop, who are both projected to be your second and third safety. DeMar Hamlin's projected to be your fourth. So how does Hamlin kind of play on uh on Saturday? Yeah, just crisp, cool stuff. O line, all that kind of stuff. Get out of avoid injuries and just maybe some cool like Tyrell Shavers, who's not really known. No one really knows who he is. He's battling for that like last receiver spot. He's had a great training camp. Like how does those guys show up that are battling for the last spot or the last practice squad spot? So like a Tyrell Shavers, if you're a huge Bills fan, that's a guy I would watch on Saturday. He's been good in training camp. He was a rookie last year, was on the undrafted rookie last year, was on the practice squad the whole year. And I think he has a chance to make the roster as the last receiver. So how does he perform on Saturday? So he's the type of guy that great in training camp, but you got to show up on your first preseason game, and he'll play all preseason games. So
Staying in that game, but flipping on to the other side and the other team, your expectations for the lovely Caleb Williams, in other words, and I'll keep that nice words to him.
yeah, look, I like
You
Caleb Williams.
excited to see him or
Yeah, because
yeah?
I think it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a little interesting because I think he has superstar potential, right? I really think he has superstar
The
potential.
hype's ridiculous though.
It
Like
is. It is. But I think it's warranted because I think he's that good. And I think we won't see this on Saturday, Ken, just because the Bears won't give us everything and the Bears won't give us their
no.
full arsenal. Like Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, right? I love that receiving core. I think the Bears probably can potentially contend for a wild card spot. I really do. I don't know if they make it. They're probably more of like a 8-9 team or 7-10 team, right? But are fun to watch. But I think the hype is real for Caleb Williams. I'm excited to see what he does on Saturday, but you won't get the full thing because we won't see his full arsenal. We won't get their full play calls, but I think it's cool. I think the hype is real. I'm assuming you're excited to see Drake May.
Oh,
Um,
for sure. Yeah. In a
yeah,
little
so
while, I guess. I mean, they're starting with Brissett apparently, and he's gonna
are they
play.
actually?
So yeah, apparently all four quarterbacks, according to reports, are gonna play today, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I like all four guys. Brissett, obviously, second time, jumping to the Patriots. Second time in the offense, even though it's not under McDaniels the first time, like when he was here with Jimmy G and Brady. But obviously, I want to see what AVP does. Coach Mayo, DeMarcus Covington, the new DC.
Mhm.
Just want to see how it is. Obviously, like you said, you're not going to see all like the arsenals and the play calls. Like you're not going to see many guys like really shine. It's going to be a lot of probably second, third string guys. But I mean, I just think going back to the May point, they keep the news or the radio keeps saying he's with the twos. Like, why is this guy practicing with the second team instead of the first team? Like, how do you want this guy to progress? Like, he needs to play with the first team, you know? Your thoughts on like a rookie quarterback trying to play like Allen his first year. I don't know if he was practicing with the ones or he was practicing with the twos.
Well, Allen didn't start his rookie
He
year.
didn't. No, I
He
mean,
didn't
if
start.
we
No,
sit a
sorry.
guy too.
He didn't start his first game. He started third game, I believe. They started Nathan Peterman.
Nathan Peterman. Oh my
Di-
God, yeah.
didn't go well.
No.
Again, never went well with Nathan Peterman. So he started, and then they went to Allen against the Chargers. He made his home debut, and he was obviously rookie. Josh Allen was all over the place. But no, look, I think they're gonna start Brissett probably
They
week
are.
one, and it's gonna be a little unfortunate. But you have to eventually see Drake May this year. In my opinion. I'm not against guys sitting for a full year. The Chiefs did it with Patrick Mahomes. Jordan Love sat a couple years. Josh Allen sat 1 or 2 games. But then you have the other case, like Burrow played right away. Um,
CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud Herbert
Bryce
played.
Young, I mean, he should have a better second year coming up in the
Yeah,
league.
Bryce Young's probably a guy that probably should have sat just based off the
Yeah.
situation that was around him, right? So you want to make sure Drake May is ready. You want to make sure he's good with calling with the playbook. You want to make sure he's not overwhelmed. All those things are very important. You would like to see Drake May probably in 8 to 10 games this year. That's probably like where you look, more is probably better, but like anything less than 8 games this year, Ken, in my opinion, is probably a fail from the
Yeah.
Patriots. I don't think they do that, but I bet you it's Jacoby Brissett week one, which would be a little unfortunate. Some Patriots fans won't be happy, but I think you'll see enough of Drake May this year, in my opinion, to get maybe somewhat of an idea what he could be down the road.
Staying on the quarterback room with the Pats, what's your thoughts on Bailey Zappi, which I've been a fan of him since he was
Mhm.
drafted in 2022. I mean, him and Matt kind of flip-flopped, the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And obviously the rookie Joe Milton, like, what do you think they're going to do with the sixth round pick there in Joe Milton? Are they going to do a Malik Cunningham situation? And they're actually going to hold on to him? It's tough because you got Drake May
Well,
as your future, and then you got Milton
I,
third or fourth on the depth chart,
I think you probably let go of Zappy. I think. I'm not.
unfortunately, but some people will be
Yeah.
happy.
And maybe you can get him back on the practice squad. That's a potential. I don't know if you can
Maybe.
get Joe Milton back on the practice squad because I think he has too much arm talent, and he was just a sixth round pick this past year, so
Hmm.
he's really fresh in everyone's eyes. A lot of people just scouted him. A lot of scouts just scouted him this past offseason, so I think he'll go back to a team. So it'll be hard to stash him in the practice squad, in my opinion. I think I'm not saying Joe Milton's the future. I'm not one of those Patriots fans because I don't think he's an accurate enough quarterback, and
Yeah,
he wasn't at Michigan and he wasn't at Tennessee. He has a crazy arm. He has a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes level arm. He really does because he can throw the ball as far as those guys can. You probably keep him on the team and go with Milton, May, Brissett, unless you're afraid of maybe Milton's not saying he's better than May, because I'm not going there because I don't think
yeah.
he is, but does it cause some sort of concern? Like if you're May, like, well, you just drafted me top five. You also have another rookie who you drafted. Like, why is like it's kind of a weird, could be a potentially weird situation. You go safe, you keep Zappy. There's no threat to May with Zappy. There's no threat to May with Brissett because everyone knows Brissett's just the bridge quarterback, and you kind of go with that. If you or unless because you want to, do you want to avoid what happened with Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi again? Because
Basically, you don't want round two of that.
that's
No.
the same exact thing as Drake May and Joe Milton. Drake May and Bailey Zappi is totally different than Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. Totally different. Zappi, we know what Zappi is. He was a little bit of a flash in the pan, can be a good backup quarterback. He's not a future starter in the National Football League, in my opinion. But if you go Milton and May, you kind of have that weird situation because if May really, really struggles, some Patriots fans are going to call for Joe Milton. They won't call for Bailey Zappi and they won't call for Jacoby Brissett because there's no end there. They'll think there's an end goal with Joe Milton. If you want to avoid that, you keep Zappi. If you don't care about that, then you keep Joe Milton.
Did you hear like what you were saying reminded me of what Colin Cowherd said? Joe Milton over Drake May, and they're comparing it to what is it, the Trey Lance situation
Hmm.
in San Francisco. I think he might have compared it to that.
Hey, look,
Like, that'd be
it's.
kind of crazy, honestly. I mean,
I
Brady
think you keep.
overthought Bledsoe, but Bledsoe was drafted 7 years ahead of him.
Yeah,
So
I think you.
obviously he had some time in the league.
I think you keep Joe Milton just because you want to keep the better player in the future. Not the future, but like a young player. I don't know if they do that just based off they're maybe scared of what happened last time.
For sure. I mean, it's just we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not going to overhype myself. I'm glad football's back. It was nice to see the Hall of Fame game last week with, Houston and Chicago.
Hmm.
Chicago ended up being on top. But any final thoughts before we wrap up here of what we talked about? We talked about a lot of things.
No, yeah, I think the Patriots are in for an interesting season. I think, like I said a million times, you want to see just development from Drake May. And then when it comes to the Bills, I expect them
Top
to finish.
seed. No, I
I,
mean
I
AFC
expect
East at least.
win the AFCs and
Yeah.
finish anywhere from the first to the third in the AFC. They finished first last, no, they finished second, excuse me, last year in the AFC. I think that's fair. I think people are kind of over sleeping this team. I think people are sleeping on this team. And I think something that stood with me when Josh Allen said this past week to end training camp that the vibes are kind of back. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but the vibes are back with this team. And I think there was a little bit of a locker room issue last year with Diggs, with some other veterans, and those veterans are no longer on the team as well. And they won 11 games last year and had a chance, should have beat the Chiefs in the divisional round, or had a chance to beat the Chiefs in the divisional round. So I think the vibes are back. I think it's a little bit of a looser team, better chemistry. I expect big things. 11-6, 12-5 is probably where I think the Bills end up.
That's a good, prediction, honestly. And appreciate you joining the pod.
Of
If you want to
course.
throw your socials out there, throw your podcast out there, I'll
Yeah.
post this on YouTube and I'll share it on my social media. So go for
Yeah.
it.
And obviously I'll share it as well on social media. But yeah, you guys can
Yep.
follow me at Twitter at DiBiasi Peter. You just type in Peter DiBiasi as well. And then my podcast Twitter is Talking Sports PD. Simple but effective. So yeah, find me on Twitter on both of those and then YouTube Talking Sports Podcast. So yeah, we're cranking those out as best as we can. So yeah, appreciate everyone that follows and subscribes.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you, Peter.
Of course, appreciate you having me on.